So earlier this week, the EThekwini Municipality informed Durban residents of water shortages in the city's south and west due to a major pipe burst. Now, this is as the city is also still trying to recover from the looting violence that gripped parts of KZN last week. The municipality says the water shortages may last for about 7 days as the Shallcross reservoir battles to fill up. To get a sense of how this is actually faring, let's bring in the head of water and sanitation in the EThekwini Municipality. That's Ednick Msweli, who joins us now via our video link. Msweli, great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. So an infrastructure levy, as far as I am aware, was actually introduced earlier this month. This is going to make this kind of disruption a tough pill to swallow for many residents.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers at home. Yes, we are working on an infrastructure levy, but just to clarify, we did not implement it yet from 1 July. That was indeed the plan. We've realized that there's some compliance issues that we've got to deal with that involve even our national treasury. We are trying to work with them and just make sure that we've got all the checks. And so we will advise again the public on when that actually becomes effective.
All right, and I guess that's...
Indeed.
Sure, go ahead, please.
No, I was confirming that we haven't implemented it, but indeed it's coming. Yes.
All right. By then, one hopes that things like major pipe bursts will be a story of the past. What led to this particular one?
You know, it's very much linked, and I'm glad that your first question was around the levy, because, you know, when you have these failures, it's another sign that your infrastructure is old. And when it is old, it fails. That's how you see that it's old. So this particular failure and similar ones that have taken place recently is where a pipe just bursts just because it's old, can no longer withstand the pressure, and it gives up. So in this case of Shallcross, our pipes just burst and failed. And unfortunately, that's in a place that was a bit complicated to work in, because we needed some specialized equipment for shoring, and we couldn't do this work in-house. And that's actually what has taken time, because we then had to go through a procurement process to get a specialist that will then come and do the work, because the work could not be done in-house. But it's just infrastructure failing because it's old. It's actually nobody's fault.
Sure. Does that mean you aren't able to predict when the next burst might take place, and if you're able to stave it off? We
can't predict with certainty. You know, the best we can do under the circumstances is capacitate yourself so that when it does happen, you are able to deal with it as quickly as possible. It's not often, but very rare that we ever have to go out for maintenance items like this one. Most of the time we are able to do these repairs in-house using our own plumbers or some contractors, smaller contractors that we have in our database. So in those instances, then the turnaround times are much quicker when you can do everything in-house. But because of, as I said earlier, because here you need a specialist, and therefore you have to go through this rigorous procurement process. It takes a bit of time, and that's why we've lost a couple of days. But once we are on site, which I think at the latest, probably later tonight or early tomorrow morning, once we are on site, we are going to try and get the contractor to even sort of speed up the work. If they have to work 24 hours, they'll have to work 24 hours. We're going to negotiate that with them.
Hold on, so let me get this straight. You actually haven't even started working on the problem just yet?
We're hoping for the contractor to start either today or tomorrow morning.
What's been happening in the interim?
We've been sending water tankers to those areas. Unfortunately, you know, when these things happen, you also can't overlook your procurement processes, because what will happen is I'll have a pipe fixed, and later and Water General will be on my case that I flouted the SCM processes. So we had to go through that process and make sure it was complied with to the fullest, which is why I'm saying the earliest one could do was actually get the contractor on site tonight. Even before we got there, we tried first, as we normally do, to see if it could be done in-house. And that assessment was done, and we established no, it was not possible. So we are sending water tankers to just as an interim relief. But as I've indicated, we are also going to make sure the contractor works around the clock to make sure the job is done as quickly as possible. So we are hoping that the 1 week is sort of the worst case. That's our hope and trust, and that it can be done quicker.
Yeah. Are you able to tell us a bit more about what it is about this specific major pipe burst that's complex, at least to an extent that you need outside assistance?
It's the safety concerns that we had. The embankment where it is, the bank, there's a good chance of it collapsing So that's why you have to bring in the shoring so that you can hold the banks from collapsing. So we're worried that if without that equipment, because we didn't have that equipment and that experience in-house to do that, and then you'd really be exposing our staff to possibilities of danger and even death. Because if that has to collapse, you're likely to kill people. So we didn't want to do that.
Right. South Africa, as a water-scarce country, obviously can't afford prolonged major pipe bursts. Are you able to quantify the amount of water that's been lost since this particular burst took place?
Look, at the moment, it's not even about the water being lost now anymore. It's about people not having water. Remember, we've isolated, so we are no longer losing water. So what concerns us and what makes us work faster is that we want to get people to have access to water again. And then we do realize, and we apologize to the residents, that tankered water is not a standard that we uphold and that we stand by. We want people to have water in their taps. So any time when it happens that they can't have water in their taps, it's whatever. And this particular one, whatever also. And that's why we are just working as fast as we can to get the water flowing through the taps again.
All right. Just for clarity, for the affected residents then, when are you hoping to get the water back by? A week, you say, is the time you need?
Yeah, so I would say by the end of the month, or maybe 1st or 2nd of July. But this is, you see, once we've met the contractor, which we're going to meet tomorrow morning to discuss the program, then we're going to get an exact date from the contractor, because he's going to tell us whether they can fast track, if they have to fast track, what additional resources they require, and that's the meeting we're going to have tomorrow morning with the contractor to then sort of discuss this fast track program. Because we all understand that we have to do it as quick as possible.
All right. Thanks very much indeed for that update. Hopefully, when we speak next, you'll have better news for us as well as for the residents affected by this. That was the head of water and sanitation in the EThekwini Municipality, Ednick Msweli. Ednick, once again, thanks very much indeed.